So I want to talk about the impulse we Americans seem to have to take care of complete strangers on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I think this is a good impulse. So we at First Pres give to the food pantry over at Trinity Pres throughout the year. But as you know, there's a special drive to give more on Thanksgiving. And it's as if the idea that a family wouldn't have a full Thanksgiving meal just bugs us, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen. And the same thing happens at Christmas. So we can't stand the idea of children waking up on Christmas morning and having no presents, even if they're complete strangers. We don't like that feeling. And so every year here at First, we have that giving tree in the back, right? You're all familiar with this. And we collect presents for children we will never see. And that is not unique to this church. So the other day, my mom was telling me that my sister organized the exact same thing at her church, a tree with little ornaments, and on the ornaments, a present with the child's name. And here's the thing, my sister's church is not like this at all. It's a very, very conservative church. I would expect most of the people in that church are on not only the religious opposite of us, but also the political opposite of us. And it's not just churches. So the gym that Deb and I go to has a bulletin board. And guess what's on the bulletin board? Little gift tags with people's names and the gift that they would want. So again, buying Christmas presents for complete strangers. So where does that impulse come from? Especially in our nation these days, where so many people seem comfortable with cuts to social services to those very same children and families. So here's what I suspect. To use the language of our tradition, I would say that impulse to give to complete strangers comes from the Christ within us all. So consider this about the nativity story. Jesus' family was a family that would have had their names on that giving tree back there, right? So they were victims of the brutality of the Roman Empire. Even though Mary was 9 months pregnant, she and Joseph were forced to travel to another city. This was for a census that would lead to the taxation of her people by the empire, an occupying empire. The Holy Family delivered their first child with no support from their family because they were in another city. No midwives because they were in another town. And once Jesus was born, like so many refugees on this earth, the family had to flee for their lives. So the nativity stories tell us that Jesus and his family experienced homelessness, political persecution. They were refugees and immigrants. So one thing that I think that means is that the Spirit of Christ that was in Jesus has a unique sort of compassion for homeless, immigrant, refugee people. So when Americans of every political persuasion cannot abide the thought of a family not having a Thanksgiving dinner, or they can't abide children waking up on Christmas with no presents, I would say it's because the Spirit of Christ is in them. And you might call it the light of God, you might call it the Spirit, but that is an impulse in everyone. And that Spirit moves us all to compassion. So it's easy these days, if we're following the news, to get frustrated with all the cold-hearted people there seem to be out there. People who don't mind and even cheer on ICE agents grabbing people off the streets. People who don't mind or even celebrate cuts to food stamps and Medicaid and funding for housing. But the truth is, being frustrated and angry at people hardly ever gets them to change. But what if there really is a little bit of Christ's light in even the most bitter person? So then a Christmas practice of spirituality would be to water the seeds of Christ's compassion that are already planted deep in their souls, with the hope that that light might grow and burn a little more brightly. So as I said, those seeds are there in all of us, and the evidence of that is that so many of our fellow Americans are actually compelled to take care of complete strangers in this season. And that gives me a lot of hope. Now, we all need to learn how to offer this kind of love and care and support all year long. Thanks be to God. Amen.